Hey there, my name is Heather Feather. I am the owner of Rare Bird Medicine. Today's topic is New Year, New Self. I am not technically at my New Year, my spiritual New Year. Heather has a long history and many lifetimes of having been pagan. I consider myself, I'm on the shamanic path in this life, and everything nothingness. I believe everything is nothing because it's made of emptiness, but also I believe a little bit of every philosophy because I think I've lived many lifetimes. So I'm all the things, but technically, my new year begins on Halloween or All Hallows Eve or Samhain. That is in the wheel of the year, and in a lunar-based calendar, that's considered kind of the pagan new year. So usually at All Hallows Eve, I like that because there's the collective conscious New Year's, which is right around the bend for us all. And then there's this other New Year's that several months before I hit the new year, I am stewing in what is working for me in 2024? What isn't working for me? What would I have be different in 2025? A common thing that I'd have be different is I'd have more play, more sit like, let's go play. I love to play. Let's go play in the woods. I love being in the woods. Let's go do something fun. I can be a bit of a workaholic. I can be a bit of an evolutionaholic, a spiritual studyaholic. And so it's like, I at Samhain or at All Hallows Eve or Halloween, I was kind of reflecting on that. Okay, I want to have more fun in 2025. I want to make sure I go to the hot springs more. I want to make sure I'm going to the mountain at least on a weekly basis. I want to make sure I am silly. I'm watching lots of comedy. I am laughing. I am clowning at this or school. Let's have a life worth living, which is a life in which we enjoy and we do fun things and we get out in the world and go do stuff. It's cool. It's fun to be a hermit. And they're amazing two-leggeds. Like, I'm in awe sometimes. I just get to watch a lot of cute things that humans do. I'm really grateful. And so I try not to too much put myself under a bushel basket, if you will. Let's go share our lights with one another. Let's go do things that light us up. Let's go do something different. I had a recent blessing happen in my life in which, around Halloween, I started stewing, and maybe I'll practice celibacy for a time because I have a high libido, a strong sex drive, and aside from that, seeking fulfillment or that desire being very present in my being, I have a strong desire for a relationship or for union or for partnership or to truly experience a healthy partnership in which we're not just trying to fight with each other and be on our righteous high horses. We're actually trying to enjoy life together and have fun and do neat things and learn. I'd love to learn from the mind of another. And I've been talking for several months about how that's not manifesting. And so I feel it's wasted attention to be on that. So one of the things I started flirting with at the end of this year was the idea of being celibate, which is hilarious. that's a hilarious. I love to do the really hard things. Heather always loves to do things the hard way. I'm like, well, this will be difficult. It's like, okay, God bless it. And it's not that difficult for me because I feel like Spirit has I've had many, many years of I've sown my wild oats, if you will, plenty. And I've had many years of not that energy. Almost since I've kind of been out here in Albuquerque, I've had some partners and stuff, but they've been very short-lived, which is always weird for me. Like, what are we doing? Why are we even coming together if we just need to not be together? What I mean? Heather needs to discern a little bit more before she gets involved with people. And I was flirting with this idea of celibacy. And so this blessing that came into my life is that I met a gentleman on Facebook dating some time ago, and we went on a date, and we had an amazing conversation. Lots of spiritual, mental, emotional simpatico. We were just... And so the next time it was like space for us to get together again, I contacted him. I was like, hey, there's this cool event at this cafe I go to a lot. Would you like to come? I was like, but I also want to be clear, on our date that I didn't feel any sexual energy with you. I just literally felt no sexual energy. And he was like, well, I've been practicing celibacy for a long time. And I was like, okay, I'm a seer. I'm a psychic. I'm an empath. That makes sense. I picked up this non-sexual energy. And so he's like, actually, I've decided to be celibate all of 2025. And I'm like, dope. Love that story for you. But we kind of stopped talking. And a month or two ago, he contacted me and was like, you know what? I really enjoyed meeting you. I've really enjoyed our conversation. And I know we're not going to date, but I would like to be your friend. I'd like to know you. Love that story because we did have an amazing conversation. He and I both are very spiritually focused. Well, he had a circumstance unfold, and Spirit put in my heart to invite him to move in with me for a time. And so he moved in. He's sleeping on my couch and going to stay with Heather Feather for a time. I prayed for a long time to help Native nations. I pray for reparations for all beings that suffer, especially egregious crimes at the hands of others. And I think there are many, the Hopi, the Lakota, the Dene, there are many Native nations that have tremendous wisdom. And I think many people that I've seen of the Native nations know how to honor the earth, which is a modern day struggle for many, And so it's interesting how I've prayed, may I give reparations through my behavior, through my actions. And then all of a sudden, my friend that is of a Native nation needed to get out of a circumstance and winds up becoming my roommate. And in this period in which I'm marinating on releasing the idea of romantic partnership, shaving my head to enter my monkhood, my priesthood, my priestesshood. So I'm focused in a priestly way on outer spiritual law and study, and I'm focused on a priestessly way on my inner divine knowing and listening to divine guidance. I've been considering being sober. I have a tendency to always want to get high at night. I've worked a long day, let me get high. And it's like, I'm just going to take a break from that. I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to get high. I'm going to eat a clean diet, and I'm going to be celibate. Well, my friend happens to be sober, and he happens to already have a clean diet, and he has decided to be celibate for all of 2025. And I thought, what an amazing, miraculous movement of spirit that I have this intention of how I want to walk in 2025. And I have a fellow monk that's entered my home. In a few months, he'll move to Washington. He'll go, live on the reservation with his peoples. But every night, he and I are having these long, spiritual, fascinating conversations, talking about quantum mechanics in addition to spirituality, talking about psychology, all these topics that interest me. And it's so interesting because, we both practice yoga. We both love Yogananda. I have been instructed by the Akashic Records again and again and again to connect to Lao Tzu, that I'm moving towards Lao Tzu consciousness. And so to connect to his teachings, we go to Savers the other day, and he's like, this is the book on the Tao Te Ching by this particular guy. I really, really like this one. And so now I'm reading the Tao Te Ching each night because I've been wanting to do that for like a month, but it just there's a spiritual quickening because we are of like mind. We're of like minds. And so there is a great opportunity for us to evolve the self, to expand the self into new ways of being and new expression. For me, when I reflect on a previous year, I like to think about what hasn't worked. What hasn't worked is that the relationships that I got into are relationships that I ultimately had to cycle out of. And I'm grateful for the learning, and I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm not really looking for a relationship that isn't a long-term commitment, And so with a being that I discern is a match to a long-term commitment for Heather Feather, because I'm a long-termer, And so that's not showing up in my life. And so I'm going to take all the attention that romance, union, sex, sexual desire can consume, and I'm going to redirect that energy, and I'm going to do Kundalini healing. I'm going to do, I'm going to balance my Kundalini sexual energy. I'm going to refocus it on, I'm doing 44 days of clean diet, clean living, and celibacy, and I'm stepping into 2025 with that. I may do longer. I may do it the entire time my friend is here. And I'm really excited about this. New year, new self, new Heather. Heather Feather, who dat? Who dat? Play Who Dat by Emmett Finn. It's a great song. Who dat? But who is this woman? I don't, it's we can get all these labels, all these identifications. We can get stuck in I'm this, I'm that, I'm just like that. I'm like that because I'm Sagittarius. I'm just philosophical and spicy at the same time, or whatever. If you say so. I'm actually emptiness. I'm subatomic particles, which are made of emptiness. I'm atoms, which are made of emptiness. And although labels can be helpful to discern what you like, what you want to move towards, I'm choosing these labels of celibacy, da-da-da. I'm not those things. Heather's not going to be celibate for a lifetime. I'm not going to never have a drink again. I'm not going to never have cake or sugar again, However, it does serve me to take a time in which I experience Heather Feather walking a more disciplined path, so that the energy that I might put towards divergent foods, or the energy that I might put towards getting high at night and disconnecting after a long day of work, or the energy that I might put towards sex or union or partner, or ooh, that person's cute. Do we have potential? All that energy I can put towards developing the self physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. How am I doing with exercise? How am I doing with, and so I find as I am redirecting my attention, I work out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday night. I'm doing yoga. I'm doing, it's like, oh, man, I'm going to start doing that Qigong again. Like there's a Qigong practice I really like by Yoki on YouTube, Yoqi, and it's a self-love Qigong that's like 25 minutes long where you like love your organs, like, love my organs. I love it. It's hilarious. It's so dorky. Like, it makes me laugh when I do it. Fun. Let's have some fun. One of the ways I want to really focus and evolve the self is I do consider those things fun. I do consider it fun to study. I consider it fun to fly a kite. I consider it fun to be in nature. I consider it fun to evolve the self. I consider it fun to do spiritual practices, to meditate, to unlock the kundalini, to balance the chakras, to do cord pulling. And so for me, I want my attention to be on what I truly value. And although life has been long, perhaps it has been for you too. Although life has been hard, perhaps it has been for you too. I'm really grateful for all the hardship. I'm grateful for how long it is because I've witnessed much and I've had a lot of pressure to illuminate my inner diamond. The lotus blossom that I have to bloom is quite fragrant from all the mud I've been stewing in. And now I'm at a place in which all of the hardship that I faced, I recognize it's been a grace. It's evolved myself. And it's helped me to get to a place where I really am grateful to be alive. And I appreciate the grace of this life. I hold an eternal flame of unconditional love within me. I hold the light of truth of the light of love within me. And I'm grateful to have this temple carry that light of love around. And I want to be mindful as to how I'm treating this temple. Am I being kind to Heather? Am I talking well to her? Am I being sweet to this creature? Am I honoring all that she's being in this world? I am sacred and I am holy, and I want to not waste my attentions on things that don't support me and being truly in a state of thriving. And so I'm evaluating before I step into this new year what needs to shift for Heather Feather. You know what I mean? What needs to shift so that I'm really enjoying my life and I'm being my fullest self, my most joyous self. One thing that needs to shift for sure in 2025 is I need to stop identifying as a hermit because I do enjoy people. You know what I mean? So like, okay, let's cut that out a little bit. I think you naturally are good at isolating and taking alone time, honey. I don't think you have to like associate so much. I can be quite sociable and I can enjoy social situations. I went to my friend's party. My friend Heavy had a friend bandmate that had a party, and I had an amazing conversation with this kid's dad, and he was an electrical engineer, and it was cool to be out and like talking to this guy. You know, I was hearing these wonderful stories about his healing, and so it's important that I look at who I'm being, how I'm being, who is Heather, who this, and I'm considering that, and where are the adjustments needed? Right now, I'm eating lots of sugar. I'm eating up all the meat in the house because I'm about to go vegan for 44 days. I'm probably going to get some cake tonight. I'm definitely going to get super high today. Why? Because I'm about to, at the new year, surrender those things. So I'm going to use them up, waste not, want not. And then when I'm in the new year, I know that impetus is going to strike me of like, oh, I'd really love a slice of pizza, or I want some sugar, or whatever it is. And I'll go, you had it. Remember in December when you had it? Remember when you had like a bunch of it and grossed yourself out with it? Problem solved. You already had it. It was just in another timeline, right? And that's how I keep myself motivated. That's how I keep almost a militant discipline once I make a commitment to self. I'm able to point to, been there, done that, had that, already done with it. How do you intend to step into 2025? 2025 is a 9-year. It's about integrity and wisdom. What integrity and wisdom are you going to walk into this new year with? What self are you going to walk into this new year with? Are you going to regulate yourself? Are you going to breathe more air? Do you plan to drink water? How are you going to self-care? How are you going to self-respect? What's your game plan on that? Do you have any thoughts around how 2024 did not work for you? And what changes do you plan to initiate for 2025 to be the grace that it absolutely has the opportunity to be? It's always helpful to be true to the self and honor the evolution of being a human being. You can always subscribe to Rare Bird Medicine on YouTube, like and comment there. I always love to hear your thoughts. Amun Asan Astar. Be blessed.